it's Jeff from JeffTV. How's it going? Can you hear that? I've got a raven, an Australian raven flying around in my yard. It's doing his territorial thing. It's quite amusing. So he's probably going to be interrupting me through the day, through this video. Okay, nothing I can do about it. There he goes again. Okay, it's nature. Right, so today, what do we got? Well, I've been requested to do this. I did allude to the fact that I would do a review of this bow. It's a bow from Alibow. It's called, no, he's butting in again. The bow's called the Advanced Manchu Yarha. Yarha means leopard. So it's a Manchu style bow. Typical Alibow. Comes in this sleeve with the red band on. You know, as soon as you see that red band. Now I've got cockatoos. It's sort of like the mating season or something. All the birds are going crazy. Well, there you go. Sort of an insight into Australian wildlife. Yeah. So anyway, back to the bow. I'm going to keep getting interrupted. I'm sorry. Right. So. It's from Alibow, Advanced Manchu Yarha. Yarha means leopard. It's quite a large bow. It's a bit more on the heavy side. You can see it's got these enormous large sears and a very big string bridge on each end. And you can see on that end too. It's got some kind of insert here, you can see. It's like a hardwood insert. String bridge. It's bound here. It's fiberglass limb. It's got ray skin on the top, so you can shoot. So it's ray skin here and ray skin here, so you can shoot it this way up or this way up. I always use the end that has the writing on it, so like this. So this is interesting. This is a very long draw, 35 inches. So it's 40 pounds at 35 inches, but at 28 inches it's 30. And these sears, we're going to talk about those. They're quite an amazing feature. But let's give some technical specs. Right, so what does it cost? That's probably the thing you're interested in most. $150 US, and it cost me $42.5 US to get it shipped to Australia. So in the end, nearly $200 US. So it's not the cheapest of bows, but it's, like I said, it's quite a large bow, and if you want to shoot Manchu style, this kind of a bow is going to be your sort of first, your first entry point into the discipline. And it's quite a different way of shooting to shooting with a normal horse bow, which is quite a bit smaller, and you tend to pull it only back to maybe 30 or 32 inches. This is going all the way back to 35. There's a whole another set of sort of mechanical techniques you have to use. Anyway, so maximum draw on this is 35, and it's 35 inches, and it's 40 pounds at 35, and it's quite phenomenal the way that it moves when you're actually pulling the string. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so we talked about the price. The weight is 773 grams. It's quite heavy. The limbs are quite wide. This has got another lovely, I think it's lamb skin on this side. This it's just exposed on there. The fiberglass, you can actually see it. It's black fiberglass. This is wood here. There's wood in there. Fiberglass, wood, and these are pegged on as well as being glued on. These string bridges, you can see that in there. If it'll focus, there we go. I think there's a like a dowel. I think it's a bamboo dowel, so it's pretty strong. I haven't had any problems with them. Right, so 773 grams in weight. It's 59 inches long when it's strung, and the length nock to nock. So from there all the way up to there when you run it along the bow, that's 60 inches, and that gives you an F value of 0.58. So I like it to be closer to 0.6. It sort of tells you that the power and weight ratios in the right area. So 0.58 is not too bad. So yeah, the F value came out to 0.58. The arrow pass is, you can see the limbs are quite wide like that there, but the arrow pass is just here. It goes, I mean, at the narrowest point, I measured it across here with the micrometer. It's 30 mils, so it's not too wide. It's not narrow either. It's kind of in the middle ground there. Oh yeah, the string serving. String serving is really good. I find this with most of Alibo's stuff, that the strings are really, really good quality. I don't have any problems with them at all. The string servings are very well made. I love the way that they do this. It probably doesn't come out on the camera, but it's kind of a black and white, this is a crazy zebra sort of looking pattern on it. It's quite cool. Let's string this. It's quite easy to string. It does bend an awful lot though. You can't, it's got like, when I say it bends an awful lot, I mean there's an awful lot of movement. You see how far back you're starting, and because you're starting so back so far and these sears stick out so far, you really have to kind of bend it over. But this one only being 40 pounds, just have to be careful when you bring it over to make sure that nothing twists, because these long sears, if you were to, instead of put your hand up here to do it, you could twist them. So you sort of keep your hand down here, like where the shoulder is, just there, or the elbow, I think it's called actually. This is the shoulder, that's the elbow. So yeah, it's nice looking. The width there is only 6.5 inches. So Manchu bows, when you see pictures of Manchu bows, they tend to be like this kind of far, quite a way back. This brace height, it's quite a way back. So this is a bit short, 6.5. I mean, but look at the angle. Look at the angle there, how that comes over. It's quite, they are actually pointing down like that. It's quite a large angle. The draw experience of this bow is totally accentuated because of these long sears. The sears give you this kind of relax. When you pull the string back, it gets to a certain angle, then you feel like the weight that you're pulling sort of relaxes a little. We say relaxed, right? So it's sort of, the draw curve comes up like that, and then the sears kick in, and then it levels off, you know, and it has to in a way, because you're drawing it back so far, all the way back here, that if you don't have that angle on there, and you hit the sort of point where it starts to, not stacking, but where you feel resistance, it would be a really hard draw to get it back here. But what happens is with this, you draw it up to about there, where they're sort of parallel, and then suddenly you feel it's like it sort of disappears. You know, it's coming up like this, and then it levels off and goes up more gradually. So if I do a thumb draw, you can actually see we're getting all the way back here. Let's just do that properly. So here we go. It really does. It's amazing. It just keeps going, boom, 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 boom. And it's not, even though I'm pulling it back all the way back here, I can't feel that it's resistance at all. It's not, you know, when I get back to that point, it's not sort of resisting me. It's amazing. Yeah, it's a very interesting bow. From my perspective, I've kind of was always interested in Manchu style archery, and as a side point to typical Asiatic archery, I was always like, I've got to try Manchu style one time, and it is different, and it's interesting, and I find that for me, I find that as a factor in Asiatic archery, is that you get these different types of bows. They look kind of similar, but they have very different ways that you draw them. The draw curves are very, very different, and the sensations are very different. The experience, that's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, so now the thing about Manchu bows is, we need to talk arrows. Arrows, you know, they're because it's a 35-inch draw, so you're going to need arrows which are like 36 inches or that kind of length. So I bought some from Alibo. So not to start of tip, they're 89 centimeters long. That's 34 3/4 inches. The total length is 93 centimeters, so that's 36.5 inches. So the whole arrow is 36.5 inches from there to there, and from that point there where the string goes in to that point there where the head starts, that's 34 3/4. So this is the 35-inch maximum draw. You technically you should only really be drawing it up to that point there where that hits your hand. You know, that's kind of on your thumb like that where the start of that head is. So 34 3/4, 35-inch draw. You could go back a little bit further, you know, that little 1/4 of an inch, but you do need longer arrows. There's no point shooting short arrows. You're not getting that sensation. This is mechanical. Whereas you're drawing it back, you get to like typically here, you know, that's just like 30 inches, maybe 32 is about there. But with this, what you do is your arm has to come down, and you have to draw in a straight line, kind of across your body like this. You can't. You're not drawing it up to your face. It's very much across your body down here. And there's two ways. This is like a typical Manchu style and Gao Ying style, but we'll talk about that when I do the shooting. But let's go back to the arrows. Let's talk about them. Now I bought these. They're bamboo. They're very nicely made, and you can see this is basically like a big piece of grass, isn't it? Really, bamboo. You can see there whether you get these little nodules. You know, they've taken those down nicely. The thing I noticed about the arrows was the range of weight. I asked for them to be pretty much all the same weight, but I ended up with this situation where the arrow weights ranged from 28 grams to 42. Well, that's, you know, that's a big difference. So this one weighs 42. And you know, if you picked up the 28 gram arrow and you shot that, and then you shot the 42, the point of aim is going to be the same, but where the arrows land, you know, even if you did everything the same, it's going to be like that. Even at 10 meters, you know, you're going to get like a 10 to 15 centimeter drop from shooting this heavy arrow. So what I advise you to do is, if you get arrows, bamboo arrows, which, you know, I thought I'd shoot bamboo arrows because that's, you know, Manchu bow, do weigh them, you know, and try and sort of grade them so that you've got, you know, a light set and a heavy set, and then you just have to change for whichever set you're using. So that's an important thing to look at. Arrow weight, I haven't really discussed arrow weights in any great depth, but you want a set of arrows that are all, you know, really, I mean, there's organic materials, but you want a set of arrows that are like within kind of a gram of each other, really, or 2 at the most. But a range from 28 to 42, that's just too big. So I've put marks on them, so I know I've got like a heavy set which are all up in the high 30s and the 42, and then I've got another set which are about 30 grams. Strangely enough, I bought 12, and I got sort of one really heavy one really light one, and then I got 5 around 30 grams and 5 around sort of about 39 grams. So I mark them differently, and so I know if I pick up the heavy ones, I pick up all those, and I don't mix them up with the light ones, because it really does make a difference in where the arrow's going. If you do everything the same, the draw exactly everything the same, you know, you'll find your arrows going up and down like this, and you'll be like, what's going on? You know, I'm aiming at the same point, and you won't be able to. You're not getting groups. It's because the arrow weight varies so much. So check that out. That's a really good point, the arrow weight. Now, I'm going to check that we have discussed everything after we've talked about arrows. Let's have a look. We talked about the race gear. Yeah, you know what? We've done all that, haven't we? We've done all that. Let's go and shoot. Yeah, come on then. Right, Right, now we're at the point where I'm going to shoot this bow. So this is a Manchu bow, just to sort of cover over the ground. It's called Advanced Yarha. It's Yarha meaning leopard. So I'm going to shoot it Manchu style. I've got these kind of Manchu arrows, which I also bought from Alibo. I've got a range. I've got from 28 grams to 42 grams. So the 28s are about 400 grains. These two are 500. These two are 600, and this one is 650. I'm going to start from the light end and move up to the heavy end. From the F value, I don't think I mentioned it earlier. I calculated it was 360 grains was the minimum grain weight arrow that you should use for this kind of bow. I don't think that's going to work. I know it's not going to work. This is 400 grains, and I know when I've shot this before that it feels quite light. But you'll have a look. We'll show you. Yeah. So apparently the Manchu bow, so the theory goes, was developed along with the arrows, very heavy arrows, to be armor piercing. A sort of combination in the Chinese dynasty. So. Yeah, it's probably, I mean, I've got 650 grain, but it's probably more likely I was shooting something like 1,000 grain arrows, which, that's kind of equates to the same as you'd shoot from like a sort of 150-pound longbow, that sort of grain weight. Anyway, we're going to go with this one first. This is the 400 grain, so this is the lightest one I've got. Right, so you could probably hear that it was quite loud, and it was a fairly decent amount of hand shock. So 400's too light, in my opinion. This is a 500. We'll see how this goes. Nice center shot. Could hear that down the other end. The thing I noticed about these, when you're shooting, the arrows really hit the target with some authority. They really do pile into it. I can thoroughly believe that it was for armor piercing. Another 500. There we go. That one's damaged. I'll swap that out. So now this is 600. So we shot two 500s. They weren't too bad, actually. I mean, it wasn't a huge amount of hand shock. It was definitely was hand shock there, but it wasn't a vast amount. Anyway, let's see. That went straight through the bail. So powerful. We have to aim a bit lower and just a bit more solid piece of bail. Yeah, you can really hear it. Now, this is the 42. This is the big heavy one that came with the batch that I bought. You can tell it feels a lot stiffer. I've never really thought to check how this one. I mean, I've shot it, but I've not really taken too much notice. So at 650 grains, we'll see how this is. Yeah, you can really feel the hand shock dropping away with the heavier arrows, which is what I thought would happen. All right, I'm going to go and get those again, and we'll reshoot that. So I moved the camera back a bit because I noticed when I was checking the video that I'm not kind of getting the top part of the bow. It's so large. Like I said, it's 59 inches long. It's kind of, well, look, it's standing on the ground. It's pretty big bow. It's kind of the, I don't know, the long bow, as it were, of the Asiatic archery world. Right, so I'm going to start this again. I'm going to shoot the light arrow. This is the 400 grain arrow. You can see that you have to be careful with your flights here because this brace height's not very long, and Manchu arrows have a very long flight. I mean, you see originals, and they're probably about a third of the length of the arrow is actually, but they don't stick up very high. The flights on a Manchu bow, they're long, but they don't stick up too high. So, right, here we go. I'll just get myself in position. This is the light one. Yeah, really not not so pleasant. Not so pleasant really, shooting that weight out of this bow. It's 773 gram bow, fiberglass. There's a lot more weight moving forwards, huge sears. Yeah, it was pretty predictable really. So now this is that was a 400 grain. This is a 500. Oh, we talked about we're going to shoot like Manchu style. This is Manchu style, but we're going to do Gaoying as well. So that was nice. Let's do it Gaoying style, as I understand it anyway. So Gaoying, you start off looking down at the ground, down here, with the bow at least, and you're kind of drawing up into it as opposed to pulling down. So you look at the target, and then you draw up and back and shoot. It's sort of, I don't know, it's got a interesting dimension to it. Yeah, I quite like that. So this is sorry, that was the last one, was a 600. You can definitely, oops, I picked up the wrong one. That's the 42. That's the heavy one. So this is another 600 we're going to shoot. I think 600 for me is probably about where it needs to be for shooting. It feels more comfortable there, not so much hand shock. Yeah. Oh, we didn't do that as Gaoying, did that as Manchu. Well, you can see the difference anyway. Right, so this is the 42. Actually, this 650 did feel quite nice when I shot it. We'll try this Gaoying stuff. I can just see about that much of the arrow sticking out of the bales. That extra weight of the arrow really does force it to penetrate into the bale. You can see that with the lighter arrow sticking out about this far. The heavy ones, I might actually bring the camera over. We'll go and have a look. Okay, so I'm up by my target, which is a stack of straw bales, which they're pretty thick ones. Now you can see, if you can see on here, anything that's got a white dot on it, they're the light arrows. See, so white dot, white dot. See how far this one's sticking out. Now, so that's a white one, that's a white one. Is this a white one? That's a white one. That one's in quite a long way. But look at the black ones. These are all the black tip ones. So they're all the heavy arrows. On average, you can see that this one's kind of almost comparable with these, but those two, they're sticking out much further from the bale. Whereas this one, that was the 42. Look how far that is in. This is that much poking out compared to this much. So I wasn't doing a different draw, I was doing exactly the same draw, but you can see that the weight of the arrow, look how far it's gone in. So these are the heavy arrows, these are the light arrows. So all the light ones are further out, all the black ones are much further in, consistently further in. So yeah, lighter arrows, of course, you expect more force coming out of them. How's the equation go? Force equals mass times acceleration. So if you increase the mass, you're going to increase the force. But anyway, I just thought you'd like to see the target and see the results. And I didn't stage this. This is just how it happened, just after I finished shooting. So I thought you'd like to have a look. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, please, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and yeah, I will catch you later.